You know why you can't go live if you don't have it in this format?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't even get it.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, you like it? Awesome. Why don't you fix yourself one?
No.
Huh?
You know what? I think I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be fat by myself.
No, this is healthy. It's protein. It's good for you.
So you're telling me people can't go fat?
You can.
Eating
Okay,
protein?
yeah. It is a lot of calories.
Yeah. Right. So. What's up? Buenas noches.
Ooh.
Huh?
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Buenas noches, señoritos y señoritas, chicas, buenas. How's it going? I'm here to answer questions. If you have any, please shoot. I'm gonna do my best to answer your questions. How's it going, bro?
You know what? I think you're gonna like this better than the yogurt by itself.
Okay. The Lucifer path working that I've been doing has begun yesterday. We're doing rituals, and a path working begins with invoking the energy first. You got to do it on a daily basis, and you got to do it consistently. Okay, and then a lot of things happen that, of course, I can't talk about here. But I see Nicole, I see Wasi, I see other people that are doing this path working with me, and you're gonna get some cool stuff out of that. How long should dream spells need to be done to give strong results? Are there any alternative easy methods to that? Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about influencing somebody else's dream in their sleep. Okay, well, that's done. Look, once again, the result does not depend on the spell that you do. It depends on a couple of factors. There are only a couple of factors that determine if you get results from your magic or not. It's the clarity of your visualization, the clarity of your goal, the energy that goes into it, and your level of psychic connection with the target. Those are the three factors that determine the result of any spell. So it literally doesn't matter if you do a dream spell, an astral projection, whatever the fuck you want to do. Okay, those three factors, if they are good, if they are right, you're gonna get good results. If not, you're not gonna get results from the spell. Okay. So that will be my answer. So try to fix all three of those factors. You know, those are the three needles that you can move, and you're gonna get better results if you do so. Okay. So it's not about the length of the spells. It's not about how often you do it. It's all about, are these three factors right? Are you getting it right? You see? It's like the people Let me give you an analogy, okay? I'd say you have a business and you're trying to increase your ad spend without being able to close people. That's useless because no matter how many people, no matter how many prospects you get, you're not going to be able to sell. You're not going to be able to close them. So you're just going to increase your rate of failure. So what you do at first is you should improve your closing process. In the same way, a spell is determined on the three factors that I mentioned. Okay, so people try to use better spells or better techniques when they aren't able to meditate, when they aren't able to clearly visualize, when they aren't able to direct energy right. Okay, and the result is not going to improve. You see, so focus on these three things in any spell. In fact, you could go very, very far with your magic just working on these three things. Just doing these three things on a constant basis will get you very, very far. Will get you way further than just reading 1,000 books about witchcraft. Okay? So, but look, we have a tendency to always focus on the complicated things, okay? Let's say health and getting in shape and stuff like that, okay? 80% of the results are going to be determined by your sleep, by eating healthy, and exercising, okay? But what people are going to do is they're going to completely ignore all of these factors, and what they're going to do is they're going to go buy supplements, different protein powders, the Apple Watches, different pulse oximeters and shit like that, you know? So people always focus on the wrong stuff. They focus on minute little things that don't move the needle a lot, okay? Now that's good if you know that, you can sell people a lot of bullshit, okay? But if you want to do it ethically and if you actually want to teach people the truth, you got to tell them, listen, most of the stuff that you focus on is not going to make any difference. There are only three factors that determine the power of your spell and your magic. Focus on those, get those good, and the rest is just the 2, 3, 4% at the top that you don't need. Okay? So. What is, in your opinion, since there are a lot of different opinions, on the relationship between demons and us? What are they? What do they want? What are the situations in which you need them? Okay. In our life, there are the bottom line is it's always as within, so without. The spiritual journey that we're on, and we're all on the spiritual journey no matter what you do, okay? But let's keep it simple. You and I were on a spiritual journey, and that spiritual journey leads us to a better understanding of the self. And we only understand ourselves, we're only able to understand ourselves in relation to the outside world. I think that makes sense. Right? Now, with a low level of awareness, everything outside of you seems outside of you. Okay? So the child is born, the child grows up, and it explores the world. So in the beginning, there's no concept of an outside world. The person grows up, it begins to understand that there is a self and an outside world that are disconnected, but only on first sight. On first sight, they're disconnected. They're not interacting that fast. But as you grow older and as you are able to think long term and as you understand cause and effect cycles that aren't happening instantaneously, but long term. And by the way, the best way to figure that out in your own life is the journals that you keep, okay? All of those, let's say, Buddhist teachings about karma, they will make sense to you and you will see them playing out in your life when you really start observing your life with a broader perspective. You got to see your life as a whole, or in terms of years, not just short term. Like I did this today and I didn't get an instantaneous result, this shit doesn't work, you know? That's how most people think. And that's also why they never get the results that they want, right? But once you're able to take on a long-term perspective, or at least medium term, and understand that the world responds to seed and not to need, okay? The world responds to seed, not to need. Like let's say you plant let's say it is winter, okay? It is winter and there's no grocery store. You would rely on food, right? You would have to rely on food that you planted yourself. But the food wouldn't just be there because you wished for it. The food that you're able to eat and allows you to survive into the next year is going to be the result of the work that you put in earlier this year. You see? You planted the seed earlier in the year, let's say April, May, June, July, and it grew throughout the entire summer. And then somewhere in fall, you were able to store it. And now in winter, you're able to survive off of it, okay? So, but for that, you have to be able to think long term, meaning you have to understand, okay, it's April today. Now it's April. What am I going to do? Am I just going to be, thinking till tonight, or am I actually going to work now where I understand that the reward of the work is going to come to me in winter or shortly before winter? But I'm going to be happy that I did this today in winter. And this is literally how you have to approach everything in life. Everything. Look, there's nothing, I promise you. And I'm not the first person to tell you that. And if I am the first person to tell you that, fuck, who have you been listening to all your life? Okay, but listen, there's nothing of any value in life that comes without effort. Zero, nada, blah, nothing. Okay, nothing that is of any value comes without effort. So whatever you want, you got to earn with discipline and focus, at least for a short amount of time. Discipline and focus and long-term thinking, okay? The world responds to seed, not to need. All right, so you have your spiritual journey, which is all that we're doing here, and we begin to understand that there's a cause and effect chain between the outside and the inside, okay? A very simple one, a very physical and things that something that you can touch is basically you plant a seed now, later you can reap the reward of it. But there are also more subtle things, You put out the energy that you put out into the universe will return back to you. The energy that you put out into the universe will return back to you. It's not just a seed that you plant, but also energetic seeds that you plant, you see? So you begin to understand that there's a connection between your inner world and the outside world, the manifestations in your life, as within, so without, as above, so below. All right? And once that awareness is attained, two things happen. First of all, you have to become really, really responsible, or you understand that you have to learn to take responsibility for everything in your life. Because it must be caused by you, or it must be connected to you in some way or another, right? Anything that we experience, even if we don't like it, we're causing it. That's a bitter pill to swallow. I understand. But it is the truth, okay? No matter what it is that you're experiencing in your life right now, you have caused it in some way or another. Unfortunately, okay? So at one point, this esoteric journey, esoteric means like internal. You study the connection between internal processes and the external world. That's really magic. That's witchcraft. Internal changes that cause external changes in the outside world. You're not doing it necessarily to see changes in the outside world. You're doing it to better understand your connection with the universe, right? And at one point, this esoteric journey will lead you into layers of your psyche where you become one with forces of nature. We call them demons, we call them angels, we call them God forms, all kinds of different things, right? But at that point, you start realizing that you have to explore these different things. You have to explore them in order to master them. It's like your arm, okay? A baby in the beginning, when it is not capable of using its body correctly, okay? Part of the maturation process, or basically the growing up of the baby, is it learns to use its limbs. right? It learns to walk. In the same way, you are learning to use your soul or the powers of your soul that are, remember, you're not separate. You're interconnected with the universe. Hey, can you give me a charger? You're interconnected with the universe. Okay, so what you're learning to do is these forces, these angels, demons, and all of that, they're part of your higher self or part of the greater self, which is is an extension of you. So you're learning to use them, you're learning to work with them. They teach you about yourself at the end of the day. They teach you about what you are capable of. Okay? And hopefully you benefit from that. Okay? So that's how I see them. This is how I believe you will have the biggest benefit looking at them. Okay. Shit. What's going on here? Little technical emergency here. Okay, hold still.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
You sure? Looked like it wanted to run. Okay, so. Okay. Always appreciate your teachings. How do you personally go about honoring your higher self? My higher self is something that needs to be energized and developed on a constant basis. So honoring is basically, in my opinion, it's devotion, and the definition of devotion in that case would be focus, attention, and making conscious the importance of it. That would be devotion, I would say. And there's also the saying in I think there's a saying in Tantra, in the Tantric scriptures, which is, and I'm going to give you the translation here, the English translation. Whatever you attend to, you become. Whatever you attend to or worship, those are the same words in the language it's been written originally. Whatever you attend to, whatever you worship, you become. Okay, so that's the explanation for devotion. That's all you need. Thank you, Master. That was a great explanation. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Hey, Frank, how are you? Doing pretty good. I'm just hungry all the time. Because for some reason, I have a woman that doesn't feed me well.
Oh my god.
No.
I fed you 3 times today.
Okay, no, I don't know. This new trainer that I have, he just works me so hard that I'm hungry all the time, I guess. I don't know. Still on keto.
Not really.
Well, for the last couple of days, not really. No, too many fruits. Too much syrup in my coffee. Yeah. So, well, for the last couple of days, no. I've not been on keto, but I will get back on it. Been working with Santa birthday since the night of last Halloween. Her energy is way intense. Want to go further. How should I go about doing this without destroying myself? Santa Muerte. You know, Santa Muerte is a no. With any spirit that you're working with, okay? what you're calling into your life is an atmosphere, okay? When we look at this atmosphere, it's a spiritual blueprint, right? That spiritual blueprint manifests on many different levels. So that it manifests as a way of thinking, it manifests as a physical condition, and many, many other things. Emotional condition, of course, as well, right? So if you want to really explore an energy, if you really, really want to go into it, if you want to involve yourself with it, what you do is you find a philosophy that matches that. I believe Stoicism is a great philosophy that matches her energy, Santa Muerte, right? Memento Mori, which is, hold on, I got it right here. Memento Mori, that's Stoicism. It's remember that you will die, you know? So Santa Muerte is not this, like, in my view, I don't see it as this morbid thing. It actually enriches life, you know? There are many philosophies built on the idea that the real value of life only becomes apparent if you know that it's going to end. You know, we only learn to whatever appreciate the people in our lives once we understand that they could go. You know, so yeah, find a philosophy that allows you to express the energies that you bring into your life even more. You see. What do they teach in Stoicism? Study Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, one of my favorite philosophers of all time. Incredible. So you always say that we should treat life as a game. Could you please give an example? Thanks. Treating life as a game. Okay, let's define game. Game is a condition where there's a certain objective. You want to accomplish something, or you want to reach a certain result. There are limitations, there are rules to it, rules that you can't break. And you have opponents. All of these things are part of a game. And when you have the sense of a game in life, you will start winning, believe it or not. Okay? So it's not easy, I get it, but you should ideally be able to take nothing serious and just play this as a game. You're just running experiments. By the way, experimenting is the key to success in everything. You need to try out different things, but for that you need a certain internal psychological condition, because most people take things too serious. So one feedback loop that doesn't work gives them a sense of failure because they're so attached to the feedback, and they then can't continue to experiment. But in reality, 80% of the things that you try do not work. Only 20% work. Those of you guys who have got my Money Magic Mastery program, you've learned about the principle of the blue buttons. Right? You could also call it the principle of the 1,000 buttons or the principle of the red button, whatever. But you have to understand that most of the things that you do will not work. So you have to literally just experience everything as feedback. Okay? Everything that you do is feedback. And then you try something else, and you try something else. You got to disassociate yourself from the feedback that you get. Okay? And when you can do that, sooner or later you will win, because every little feedback that you get is another way you figured out a red button. Okay, this one I'm not going to press. This one I'm not going to press. Now for that, of course, you have to have a mindset that you're learning. You're just playing a game. You can't think that you know everything. That's the first thing. And number two, you have to understand that this is just a game where you're learning the rules. Right? And if you have that mindset, just do that for 1 year in all areas of life. Do that with your working out, do that with your relationships, do that with your money, do that with all of these different things. Okay? Money, I'm talking about different business ideas or different approaches to selling things. Your life's going to be at a completely different level. So you're just collecting data over a year, and you will have identified 2 or 3 blue buttons that work. And then you just press those blue buttons all the fucking time, you see? And life is exactly that. This is a fucking, look, if there's anything I'm convinced of, is that this is a fucking simulation. It's a game. It's been programmed by somebody, okay? This world is not real. It's a matrix. This matrix is programmed based on certain rules. So what we have to do here, which is what all science is based on, well, all philosophy is based on, is we have to figure out how this fucking game works. Okay? So that's it. It's an experiment. You just run experiment after experiment after experiment, you know. And see, once again, bell curve, you want to get yourself into the top 20% in all areas of life. You want to get yourself into the top 20% in the different areas that exist in, let's say, a man's life. I'm speaking from a man's perspective, okay? In a man's life, you have 4 different areas, in my opinion. You have your physical health, you have money, you have getting women, and you have spirituality. That's my opinion, right? So how do you get yourself into the top 20% in those different areas? It's usually experimentation. You have to try a lot of things. Most guys, however, they get hung up on the losses that they had. How are you going to lose? How are you not going to lose if you're experimenting? So what stops a lot of guys from, for instance, making good money is, first of all, they never get into experimentation, or they don't understand this process, or they expect instantaneous results, okay? So they do one thing and it doesn't work, and then they're like, they just give up. But you got to keep running. Keep doing things, experiment. And at one point, you're going to hit something that works. Okay. And the same we know from the bell curve. We know that 20% of all men get 80% of all women. So the logical step for a guy would be, how do I get myself into the top 20%? Because this is statistics, man. Statistics means it's not up to the individual. Women might deny it, women might say this and that and the other, but all that you got to do is literally, you got to position yourself. This is metrics. You can actually measure this fucking thing. You got to be one of those top 20% of the guys, and then women are actually going to come to you. You know, I'm actually really against like picking up women on the street. That's bullshit. That's a loser's game, because you're automatically putting yourself into a position where you are to be rejected. What you have to do is you got to position yourself where women will come to you automatically. But like, I'm not going to go into that. But the point is, there are ways where you can position yourself there. And it has to do with experimentation. You have to experiment in different ways. The same with magic. Like, oh, this spell didn't work, blah, blah, blah. The spell is not working. The spell is not working. You just got to experiment. You got to experiment. Now, how do you shorten, or basically, how do you provide value to the world? You shorten the learning curve of people. What you do is you help them, they have to experiment less. Look, in any area of life, including knowledge, there are 20% that get you results, 80% is just noise. But if you start out studying something, you have 2 choices. You can either figure out what the top 20% are yourself, or you go to somebody that has done that for you or for himself and can now tell you, this works, this doesn't work, this works, this works, this works. So this person can give you the top 20% that works, or the blue buttons that work, without you wasting time on experimentation. And that's value. If there's anything that we call value, that's value. A lot of people think information is value. It's not value. Information is not valuable. I have on this fucking phone where I'm doing this live, or on any other phone that is here, I got like, I don't know, 4 or 5 phones in this fucking house. Each one of those allows me access to all the knowledge in the entire world within seconds. And guess what? Here's the problem. Everybody has that, right? So, you know, the value is do you know the top 20%? Okay, so my recommendation would be that you become somebody that experiments in 1 or 2 areas of life a lot. 1 or 2, you got to become an expert, and then you exchange that as your value in the world. That's the best way to do it, I believe. What was the question? How do you see life as a game? Well, that's a game. I also told you how to win the game. So that's how you win it. Just take on that mindset. I believe that works. Have you ever had a spirit deny you something you asked for and tell you to listen even though you don't think it's right because they can see more of this world than you? Look, the secret to evocation, for instance, or let's say the secret to controlling a spirit, the secret to getting a spirit to do what you want it to do is to speak with the authority of the creator. That's one of the parts of a successful evocation. You have to speak with the authority of the creator. So if the spirit denies you something, it just means that you are not in the right state of mind or consciousness to command that spirit. That's it. That's a technical issue. So being the spirits, an extension of the soul, do you experience them as an emotional feeling or else and have precise descriptions? Is it a common experience? Do I experience them as feelings? Look, you have a conscious and you have a subconscious mind, okay? The subconscious mind is way bigger, more vast than the conscious mind. The conscious mind is like a very, very thin sliver. What you do is, when you open yourself up to spiritual influences, you open yourself up to one specific one, and then it can come through and affect you in a certain way. You can use it for certain manifestations that you want to have, okay? It's not that they come through uncontrolled and do this and that and the other, okay? So it's intentionally open yourself up to this force and it comes through. Speaks through you, you channel it, or you direct it towards something. That's how it's done, okay? Do you direct the spirit towards your goal through speech or visualizations or both? You do that mainly through visualization. Okay. The speech maybe does a little bit, but it's usually not enough. You gotta direct it through your visualizations. You know. Can a person overpower a spirit that is sent by a magician to influence that person in terms of domination or love spells? Can they resist the kind of influence to that point? You can do anything. Yes, that's possible. And where's yours? Just want to fat me up, man. I know.
Do you want more peanut butter?
1 second, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
You like it?
That's really good. Peace. How important is meditation while doing spells? Meditation before the spell is probably helpful. Probably helpful. Okay. Guys, I hope you got something out of this. Okay, I hope we can help you. And that was just a short, what's that called? Jump on, jump, whatever the fuck. Okay, so I talked to you.